Welcome to The Explainer. You ever wonder what makes a piece of art last for, centuries? Is there some kind of secret formula for becoming timeless? And if there is, could we use it to predict the classics of the future? Well, today, we're going to try and find out.
So let's just start with a really bold, maybe even kind of crazy question. Could the anime we're all watching today, the stuff that defines our pop culture, end up as required reading in schools, say, 200 years from now? Just picture it. Students analyzing the deep, cyberpunk philosophy of Akira, the same way we break down the tragedy of Macbeth. I mean, is that really so far-fetched?
To even get close to an answer, we have to completely re-examine what we think we know about William Shakespeare. So let's take a trip back to 16th century London, because I guarantee you, the reality of his work is not what you're imagining.
Yeah, this slide pretty much shatters the whole myth we have of Shakespeare, right? We picture these quiet, super sophisticated audiences hanging on every single word. But the reality? It was mass entertainment. The Globe Theater was loud, it was chaotic. Think more like a modern blockbuster premiere or a big rock concert, not some stuffy, highbrow play.
I mean, really think about it. People paid just a few pence for the cheap seats where you had to stand the whole time. They were eating, they were drinking, they were yelling stuff at the actors on stage. The audience was this total mix of everybody, from laborers to nobles. This wasn't some exclusive high art thing. It was a for-profit business designed to get as many people in the door as possible. It was, for all intents and purposes, pop culture.
But here's the absolute key. Shakespeare wasn't just simple entertainment. His real genius was in creating this incredible hybrid. He'd pack his plays with crude jokes, sword fights, and all this juicy gossip to keep the crowd hooked. But at the same time, he was weaving in these profound ideas about politics, history, and human psychology. It's the exact same magic formula that the best HBO shows use today.
Okay, so if Shakespeare started out as popular entertainment, how in the world did his plays end up as these timeless classics that are studied in every school on the planet? What was that journey from a noisy, rowdy stage to the silent classroom?
Well, it was basically a perfect storm of three different things. First, you have his artistic genius. I mean, the guy literally invented thousands of words and phrases we still use. Second, the themes he wrote about are totally timeless. Love, betrayal, ambition, that stuff never gets old. And third, and this is crucial, a bit of a historical accident, the British Empire expanded, and its education system spread his work all over the globe, basically cementing him as the standard for great literature.
So, now that we have that formula, artistic innovation, universal themes, and global influence, can we actually apply it to modern pop culture? Let's take a look at some of the true masters of Japanese anime and see who really has the best shot at reaching that same legendary status.
And you have to start with him, right? Arguably the most famous anime director in the entire world, the co-founder of the legendary studio Ghibli, Hayao Miyazaki. So, does his work have what it takes to last forever?
The analysis here suggests his chances are the highest of, well, anyone. His films dig into these really deep universal themes: environmental ethics, our complicated relationship with the modern world, the journey of growing up. But it's also his incredible technical skill, that dedication to beautiful, hand-drawn animation that gives his work this timeless, almost magical feel. And when you add in that institutional stamp of approval, like an Academy Award, it's pretty much a given he'll be remembered as one of the great visual artists of our time.
Okay, now what about a director who's known for much denser, more philosophical stuff? Let's talk about the mind behind one of the most influential anime films ever made, Mamoru Oshii.
Mamoru Oshii's Ghost in the Shell was just so far ahead of its time. It gets into post-humanism, this whole idea of what it even means to be human when technology and biology start to merge. I mean, with AI becoming what it is today, these questions are more relevant now than ever before. His technical innovation was also just off the charts, mixing classic animation with early CGI to create this dense, atmospheric world that influenced, countless sci-fi movies that came after it. His work isn't just a movie, it's a philosophical anchor point.
So if we look at the big picture, you can see that while Miyazaki is the clear frontrunner, he's definitely not alone. There's a whole group of visionary creators. You've got Oshii, Katsuhiro Otomo, who gave us Akira, and the late great Satoshi Kon, who was just a master of psychological dreamscapes. They all have a really high chance of their work sticking around for centuries. Each one of them completely revolutionized the medium in their own unique way.
So, let's pull all this together. What's the final verdict here? When you boil it all down, what are the absolutely essential ingredients that a piece of pop culture needs to make that huge leap and become a permanent classic?
It really all comes down to these 4 critical conditions. See, it's not enough to just be popular. A work has to talk about themes that connect with people across different cultures and across time. It absolutely has to be innovative, pushing the boundaries of what its art form can do. It needs to have a huge global influence. And then finally, it has to be embraced by our cultural institutions. It needs to be taught in schools, studied by academics, and translated for new generations.
And you know, that brings us to a final and maybe the most important point. Art never ever exists in a vacuum. Shakespeare's legacy was propped up by the immense power of the British Empire. And in the exact same way, whether anime truly becomes a global classic will depend a lot on the long-term cultural power and influence of its home country, Japan.
So, all of this leaves us with one final question to think about. If this is the formula, what else from our time fits the bill? What movies, what music, what video games, or TV shows from right now do you think people will be studying as essential art 200 years in the future?